Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of your Frederish podcast. My name's Gary and I'm your host for the day. So tell me, how are you doing, my friend, after this holiday we've been having in Brazil? This is November. I'm talking to you November the 3rd, so yesterday was holiday, so I assume you had a good and, blissful holiday with your family. If you got to work, if you had to work, even though I believe and I hope your holiday, your day was blissful, blessed with your family, friends, in this case, work colleagues, etc. But without all this chit-chattering, all this further ado, let me just go straight to today's topic. And today we're gonna talk about, one more time, I never get old, I never get sick of this joke. Yeah, you get it right. We're talking money one more time. So you may ask me, Gary, didn't we already talk about it? Didn't we already hear you, out on this specific subject? Yeah, my answer to that question is yes, you did already hear me out. You had to put through with me in that 20-25 minute long episode about money. But in that occasion, I was being more, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was being more didactic, right? In other words, I was going over the, vocabulary related to finances, right? So it was much more about options you have and things you have to know, words you have to be, familiar with once you start not only making money or trying to, but also talking about money in English, right? So those terms were important. Maybe some of them you don't even know in Portuguese. Most people don't get me wrong here, but so that was the purpose of that episode. And on this very one episode here, I'm gonna talk about, as no surprise to anyone, the title of this episode says it all, the Netflix series How to Get Rich. Okay. This episode is for you who hasn't seen this TV show so far, and of course for you who already saw that. Okay. Let me just ask you. I want you to ask yourself, what did I think, or even more importantly, what did I learn from such show, right? Let me just share. If you have already gone to grab your popcorn, your soda, your coffee, your cup of coffee, whatever it usually takes for you to relax, because this is Friday. No matter yesterday being holiday or not, today is #TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. So let me just tell you straight away what have I thought about that show. I kind of saw that accidentally. My wife was, zip-zapping on Netflix a few months ago, and then she just came across that show and say like, hey honey, maybe you like that. You were always talking about money. You like saving money, You're kind of a tight-fisted yourself, but that's just, I am a kind of a tight-fisted guy. If you don't know that expression in English, tight-fisted, Tight, and Fist, Sed, of course, tight-fisted. Okay, is what we say in Portuguese, mão de vaca. I'm not exactly a tight-fisted person, but I am how can I put it, a secure person when it comes to money. So my wife got it right, although it kind of bother me at the moment. Like she pointing it out to me, like how to get rich, and I have to be honest with you guys. That's the reason why I'm doing all this rounding about to get to the main point. When I saw the title, when I read the title of the show, I got like, wow, this guy is going to talk 100% about businesses, about buying and selling things, that is like stocks, like buying stocks, buying crypto, how to open up, as I said, your own business. And he doesn't really get there. He doesn't really go there. Okay, of course he mentions that, and by he I mean what's his name? Ramith Sethi. I hope I have pronounced his name correctly. He is an Indian American guy, author, published author in the United States. But I have to be 100% honest with you guys. I had never heard about him before. So for me, it was a complete stranger talking about things I already knew. Okay, let me be even more honest with you guys. But it was interesting and important once again, to listen again, to hear one more time concepts that I already knew, or I thought I knew, but I was kind of letting it go, in terms of being off guarded, right? So when I heard it, my wife told me about the show. I was like, okay, let's learn how to get rich, and here is the cat leap. Here's the surprise thing about the show. It is totally about how not to get poor. I know it sounds like a motivational speech and stuff, but guys, I promise it's not. Okay, I'm not, first of all, not getting anything from the show, from Netflix. Netflix, if you're hearing me right now, if you're listening to this episode, to this podcast, get in contact. We can talk, but so far nothing, guys. So it's important. There is this difference about not to get rich and how to get rich and how not to get poor. Okay, I'm gonna talk more about it further on, but for now, that's it. Let's talk about the show. All right. Well, I'm not gonna bring in a spoiler here, but for those of you who haven't yet seen the show, it is basically this guy. Again, let me just read his name here, hoping I don't get it wrong. Ramith Sethi, okay? Published and famous finances author in the United States, or at least famous enough to be on a Netflix show. He, in each episode, if memory serves me well, is about one person, okay? Well, for this first season, and parenthesis here, I really hope there will be more seasons on it. But for this first season, the participants, so to say, were always rich people, or people born rich somehow, or people who got rich, but at least people that are, as they say in English, well off, okay? Well off people, and who happen to be a total, or used to, right, be a total disaster when it comes to saving and spending their money. All right, and he goes up to this person, visits this person, sits down, takes a look at their spending controls, right, their spreadsheets, their papers, the paper they use, the notebooks, whatever they use to register their ins and outs, so to say, financial ins and outs, and he just says what is, according to his experience and opinion, wrong or right. Okay, and this is the interesting part, because despite of the cultural differences, we're talking about people from United States, most of them from California, if memory serves me well. But if we compare the way they treat money, the way they deal with money, it's not much different from the way we, in many aspects here in Brazil, the way we treat, if we can put it this way, our own money, So that made me, and again, this is my reading, my understanding there, but it led me to consider that maybe the financial process, the personal financial difficulties, if we can put it this way, that people have are more related, are more a universal thing, meaning a more human being related, set of aspects, rather than cultural things. Although, of course, culture will play a significant role on on one's personal finances. All right. not only culture, the way you are brought up, your family, but again, this is my reading, this is what I thought when I saw the show for the first time. So I would really like to share this with you guys and hopefully get you guys thinking about it. But anyways, so he goes up there, talk to these people, sets or tries to set things right. Okay, talks to the people, to the participants of the show, and go like, hey, you're spending too much money here. You could be doing this way, that way. You shouldn't be spending as much money on on this part. Especially futile things. Like parties. Things that are important to a certain extent, but like there must be control over them, especially if you're not a millionaire. Even if you're a well-off person, you can see yourself spending like hundreds and thousands, at the end of the month on things that don't get you any solid, so to say, return. Okay, so this is very interesting. I don't want to spoil anything, and I'm gonna talk more about it, but this is the main point, okay, related to this show. So just by saying this, I really hope I get you guys going there and watching it. Give it a try. Watch episode 1 and then let me know on the comment section here. All right? Okay, so what is my opinion? Again, like no surprise to anyone. I love the show, right? I really encourage people watching that, especially if you see yourself having more debts than return, that you, as we say in Brazil, being reddened, like no vermelho, right? I'm just forcing the expression here, but being negative on your bank account, or even if you just see yourself like just paying bills at the end of the month and not seeing any money left, all right? Or if you have already, quote unquote, diagnosed yourself, like, hey, I'm a consumer, I forgot the term now. I'm a obsessive consuming person. Like I when I see money, when I've got money on my hands, I really gotta go run and spend them all, as fast as I can. If you acknowledge yourself as that person, well, this show is, the show won't make any miracles, okay? That doesn't mean you just watch it and that's it. No, but it certainly will be a leg up, a good starter. All right. So I loved it. I just like it. I just recommend it. I just vouch for the things he said, at least 99%. One thing here and there, But let's just go into the cultural differences. Let's talk about the cultural, how to bring that, how to apply that in the Brazilian reality we live in. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I saw the show, I got kind of scared, like it kind of terrified me to think, well, I couldn't help but think, well, if people in United States, if there are people in the United States, and I could just immediately lead myself to understand that, well, if there's like so many people in the United States struggling with their personal finances, what about Brazil? The situation may be more chaotic than we think. All right, and that's a true way of thinking about the subject, because no mystery, in Brazil we're much more ignorant when it comes to money, and there are the classic defense mechanisms, as I like calling them. Like, I don't care about money. Money is not important. Money is the root of all evil. People who only think about money are bad people, etc., etc. Although there are a certain level of truth in these statements, we know that 99% of the times these quotes are used are more to self-justifying thing rather than a intelligent, than a truthful and accurate reality understanding. All right, Because the same people who say that about money have, and I can pretty much, say that because I used to be, or maybe I still am, but I like to think I used to be like that, right? I would go like, hey, I don't care about money. Money is not important to me, but blah blah blah, all that jazz. But then the first penny I would have on my hands, I would just go and run and spend it. Most of the times, I'm not gonna say 99% of the times, but I could say like 40% of the times, like, wow, that's a lot, 40%, with pointless things I didn't need, or I didn't need at that moment, or even things that are stupid, spending our money with no matter what, So, well, this is, I am just glad that this show is available in Brazil. I really hope more things like that are on their way. Netflix got few more shows on that, style, on that same subject. And now I'm thinking about it and talking about it. I will have a look at them, and maybe I can bring something here for you guys. But that's it, that's the contrast I make, for the Brazilian audience about the show. But despite of it all, it is still worth, and it will still connect to you, because as I said at the beginning, he doesn't talk about the advanced aspects of getting rich. He talks about the very basic aspects of getting rich, and by very basic aspects, I could summarize with one very basic aspect in the singular. That is, do never, ever, 1,000 times ever spend more than you gain. Okay, don't spend more than you earn. Okay, if you make, say, to make maths easy here, 1,000 monthly, don't spend 1,001. Okay, even spending 1,000 it's kind of critical, for multiple reasons, but that's not the point here. But at least you're not spending what you don't have, and that's exactly what people do wrong. Okay, and he says that in the show, so I'm not gonna say more about it. I'm gonna just trust you guys will watch it later, maybe even later on today. Why not? To Friday, why not? Why don't you have yourself presented, by a very, very powerful content, self evolving content like that? Well, that's my word of advice for you. Anyways, let's talk more about specific points that I want to bring here, so we close it off, and then the rest is by you watching the show. All right. Well, the first of all, I've already spoken about, that is saving money, and never spending more than you make. All right. It seems so obvious, but truth of the matter, and again, bringing myself as an example, as a sample of this, as a exhibit to this kind of people that I believe represent most people in Brazil, 60%, 70%, maybe even more. Unfortunately, I don't feel happy about saying that, but it's obvious, everyone knows that. But the problem is, we don't want to trouble with that at the end of the day, regular people. We don't want to make a spreadsheet, okay, an Excel spreadsheet, or whatever it is, the kind of spreadsheet you use, or even on paper, physical paper, in a notebook or something. We don't want to have that trouble, not because it's a hard thing to do, speaking only about the process of writing down, registering, controlling your expenses. It is even a fun process, but what is not fun is getting to the end of the month, as there's the expression, the English expression, the white elephant on the corner of the room, or in the room, as they say, right? That is when you sit down and see, well, I'm spending more than I'm making, People don't do that. I didn't do that for years, you know, and I would wonder every time I would have to run to the bank, you know, for a loan, you know, to get money from the bank to pay my bills or even to buy things, you know, or run to a friend, or having to pass to a very severely punishable period of a forced Sabbath, so to say. I don't know if I'm happy in this expression, but meaning like having to fast, having to, you know, starve, you know, somehow, just because I am really messed up. My financial life is really messed up, was really messed up. So do that, no matter how painful it is. When you look at the end of the month, you know, and see you spend more than you thought you could possibly have spent, you know, do that, okay? The pain will set you free, brother and sister. True story. I'm your true story here, guys, okay? But that's it, okay? So that's why I brought up the thing of, it's not about getting rich, it's about not getting poor, you know? And there's a difference, there's a significant difference between getting rich and getting poor, okay? Getting poor, it's kind of a natural process. Don't get me wrong here, okay? I mean, when I say natural, it's like riches are things people have or produce, or things people have produced, okay? That's what riches. That's the definition of richness for me, okay? That is goods and services. I like to put it this way, right? So if you don't produce anything, you know, if you don't go after anything, you just don't have anything, or you lose what you have, you know? So that's why I say poverty, you know, being poor is a kind of a natural process, because we just stop doing, you just stop breathing and you go poor, you know, at some level, all right? But what if I'm a billionaire? Okay, if you're a billionaire, you will getting less rich, you know, every day, you know. But due to the fact that you are really, really rich, you're too far away from poverty, right? But if you're a regular person like me, you know, not a rich person, you know, not even a well-off person, as I said, if you stop doing things, if you just stand still, you will be getting poorer and poorer every day. That's the truth, man. I don't like it. I don't appreciate more than you do, but that's it, you know? So again, by having, you know, sitting down every day, every week, you control that, and putting down the expenses you have, how much you pay for things, you know, the fixed expenses you have, like the rent, if your house is not, the house you live is not yours, for example, food, you know, gasoline, all these things, they're gonna be there no matter what. You will have to live with that, you know. So why to postpone that, you know? Just have it going. Just don't have it going. I mean, like, sit down and solve this now, you know. And don't postpone it anymore, you know. There's an interesting proverb. I forgot the origin, if it's Arabian or Asian, but it says, the perfect moment to sow a tree was 20 years ago. The second best is right now, okay? So if you didn't do that so far, don't punish yourself. Just do it right now. That's the best thing you can do, right? So, okay. So saving and controlling, also bargaining, okay? This is an important word in English, bargain. That is like asking for lower prices. Don't try to, I'm just saying because I've been there, done that, etc. So I have had experience too much, my fair share of experience of this kind of stupid, you know, foolish pride that is going like, oh, I'm not gonna humiliate myself. If someone says this is the price of it, I'm not gonna bargain, you know. Truth be told, in Brazil we don't have the tradition of bargaining, right? But as they say, asking doesn't offend, right? So you can ask like, well, what if I just pay this all at once, you know, à vista, as we say, you know. do I have a discount, or anything like that. But just only if you have to do that to show it, to prove to yourself you're not gonna die after doing that, even if you don't get any result out of it, go for it, get that thing out of your head that asking for cheaper things is, something humiliating, because it's not. It's rather than humiliating, it is elevating you, it's something that elevates you, doesn't humiliate you. That's what I think about it. Let me know if you disagree. Well, another word of advice here is that has definitely, and inarguably changed my life for the best. That is, and when it comes to money, think annually, not monthly. What do I mean by that? Think annually. Annually, year, like yearly, right? Think about the year, not about the month, okay? So what do I mean? Let me be more specific. Most of the times you go like, oh, it's just $50 monthly. That's nothing. Wrong, $50, 50 highs every month. After 10 months, become 500, okay? 500 reais. At the end of the year, 600 reais, okay? $600. Or you can tell me your with all due respect, but the foolish, proud, thing inside your brain may go like, still not much, man, 600. Okay, so tell me, or better than telling me, tell yourself that if you just walking on the streets at the end of the year, say on Christmas or Christmas Eve, and you just find 600 highs, on the ground, and you pick up, it's yours. Tell me you're not gonna get any happy about it. Of course you will. It's money, I'm not saying this is the most important thing ever, but well, don't tell me that $50 or even 20 or even $10 monthly aren't much, because at the end of the month they're significantly, bigger. And just the last one, last but not least, or maybe really least, consider inflation and interest rates. Okay, inflation is in short story, making a long story short, inflation is the fact that the money gets corroded, quote unquote, at every day. Didn't you if you're in your 30s like me, for example, but even if you're in your 20s, but preferably if you're older than 30, right? Haven't you realized, okay, I ask you this question, haven't you realized that the much you pay, the things, the price of things today is way, way bigger than it was 20 years ago? Didn't you make that? Didn't it occur to you yet? Of course it has occurred to you. Of course you noticed that. But instead of going, and taking a close look to the source of this problem, that is inflation, right? Not the only one, but inflation and around it. If you start moving through it, if you start putting your hand on it, metaphorically speaking, you will find more. But let's say inflation is one of the things. Rather than doing that, you just go like, oh no, it's because of this president and the other president. It's because of the war in Europe, the war in the Middle Eastern, And I'm not saying these things do not affect. Of course they do affect us, but they're 5% of the problem, 10% at the best, So consider the fact that money is not meant to be still. It's not meant to be, stored under your mattress or in a box, or you dig it, Get your money where it can grow, okay? I'm not gonna say more about it. I said a little bit about it on the previous episode about money. And of course, internet is in front of you. Use and abuse it, all right? To know exactly how to make your money grow, okay? Don't expect any miracles, of course. If there is something, I said it all on the previous episode, so I'm not gonna say anymore. And definitely last but not least, interest rates. Okay, think that the money you have, has a price, So the moment you leave it in the bank will pay you back, because they will, not because they're good people. Like, hey, sir or lady, we're protecting your money here, we're keeping your money here, and you know what? And we're paying you for that, They're not paying, they're making money on your money, and giving you the small percentage of that. I'm not gonna argue if it's fair or not fair, that's not the point. And I'm not even saying that you should become a loan shark. Maybe I didn't bring this word. Loan shark is what we call in Portuguese agiota, all right? I'm not saying you should become one, but you should be aware of that, So every time you have money on your hand, and now I promise is the last phrase, every time you have money on your hand and you go like, hey, I gotta spend this money. Why should I keep this money here? It's going to get corroded, or somebody will steal it from me, or I will lose it somehow. Go and as I said a little bit, before now, put it in a savings account, buy things that will make your money multiply, Again, what things I'm talking about? Again, up to you, okay? Go there and do yourself a big favor and instruct yourself over money. The minimum, the basic. I'm not talking you should become the new Warren Buffett when it comes to money, the new whoever, you know what I'm talking about. And that's it for this episode, guys. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed that. And more importantly than that, I really hope you guys have been touched about this topic, and you will do this for yourself, not for me, not for anyone else, not for your family, for yourself, maybe for your family too by extension, but you will get yourself instructed little by little. I'm not saying you should become a money freak, as of tomorrow or as of the moment you listen to this episode. No, little by little, but just set this target for yourself in your life, and maybe or certainly 20 years from now you will thank me, not only me but everyone involved. Okay, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.